Happy Monday, everyone. I am excited today to host Laura on our Monday afternoon live. So we'll wait till everybody gets in here, but I did just want to say hello to all of you, and I really hope you're doing well. I know we've kind of been in the grind a little bit, getting used to everything with back to school. So we're going to get Laura right in here and get started with our chat. Right. Give her a second. I'm excited, and I'll introduce her once she gets on because she's going to be here like any moment. Laura, hi, friend.
Hi, friend. How you doing?
Hi, good. This is especially fun because Laura is my student teacher, which means I literally saw her like 30 minutes ago.
It's cute. It's cute.
So you all get a little insight into what our day-to-day conversation looks like. It's pretty much just this, right?
Oh,
yes,
yeah, definitely.
So, Laura, can you give everybody kind of a background about what your background in art education is, what kind of how everything's going, what your year looks like as far as student teaching so far? Obviously, they know that like you're my student teacher, but other than that, what can you tell us?
So my name's Laura, like you said. I am currently student teaching with the one and only Art Room Glitter Fairy, so it's pretty snazzy. We are at a school that's like pre-K through 5th, so that's pretty exciting. So I went to Edgewood College up in Madison, so in Wisconsin. It's pretty small, so there was only 3 of us that are like student art teachers. So it's a really close-knit group, which is great. And I think what convinced me to be an art teacher so early is my professor like brought us to the WAEA conference and stuff, so that was super exciting. And I mean, I got a bunch of free samples, so like of course I wanted to be an art teacher. And then that's where I met you, so that's exciting.
Yes.
And I've gone every year, and then I went to NAEA, the Boston one, so that was pretty cool. So yeah. That's kind of like my art background and all that jazz.
I would say it's been a decade ago since I was student teaching, but I would say probably taking part in state conferences and national conferences before you're out of college is incredibly helpful. Like, I feel like I was already an art educator going to those conferences as a student teacher. So if anyone's on that either has a student teacher or that, is like a first year teacher, someone really early in their teaching career, and of course us veterans too, but those conferences are like a huge, huge advocacy tool and just make you feel like you've got a sense of community, which is also super helpful. So let's kind of dive right into it. Everybody knows that this year is like the weirdest year we've ever had, right? Like, yeah. And you, luckily, I did know you because I met you at the Wisconsin Art Ed Conference and was super excited when you were placed with me as a student teacher. But aside from that, you had actually come to volunteer in my classroom. You helped out with art clubs. So you had seen kind of how the art room works a little bit before like all this weirdness happened. So before all the weirdness happened, so you kind of know like what the art room looks like and how it all works. But can you tell us, like, this is a weird year. What would you say is sort of the hardest part being a student teacher during a pandemic?
I would probably say just like not being able to fully prepare for what's next. Like, you don't know if tomorrow you're gonna be like what's going on there. And I think just like learning to give myself grace, learning to give the kids grace, like it's hard, but I think it's also gonna grow a lot of us in very good ways that will be useful tools in the long run. Absolutely. And then the other thing that's definitely hard is not being able to see the kiddos' faces a lot of times because of the masks. Like, luckily the weather was nice, so we went outside last week and did leaf rubbings and stuff. So like that's always good to social distance. But there's so much communication that goes on with your face that it's like, I don't know if they understand or not, because
completely,
unless if they say something. So
yeah, completely. And it's like, even the 5th had this morning, they were playing a game where they would say like, am I smiling or not, and it was like, what face do I have, can you tell? And it's like, I think I can tell, but I kind of can't really. So it's pretty tricky. Oh, sorry, that's Fuzz. Everything's fine, guys. Fuzz just really wants to be on the camera. So that's completely true. And I know, luckily, again, we were lucky enough to go outside, and you kind of were able to connect with the students on a level where it's like, this is what Miss B looks like. This is sort of what your student teacher looks like, so you can kind of connect with them. But you were even mentioning that like it's almost harder without their masks on because you kind of like get
Yes.
used to what they look like, and then you're like, I don't know them.
Like,
That's a
wow,
different
I didn't
nose
even
shape
know
than I
that's
thought.
what you look like. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
it's
that makes it
interesting.
harder too because you don't see them all the time. So that's definitely complicated, right?
Yeah, oh, it's interesting. We're going
Yes.
with it.
Yes, and I appreciate that you have a good attitude, which I've always loved about you, but I know that especially now, that is incredibly important. So I guess changing it to something a little bit more positive or something that you kind of can reflect on, what do you feel like is maybe the most rewarding part about student teaching right now, specifically during weird times?
I think honestly the best part, so as you know, because obviously I'm with you, we have an art cart. Its name is Bart the Art Cart. And having the kids be so eager when we roll in, Bart's a little loud sometimes, so they know when we're coming, so they get like super pumped up. But yes, they're just so excited. I think it's a change of the pace during the middle of the day because they're sitting in their desks most of the days, like staring straight forward. So it's new faces. I mean, honestly, they are so thrilled. Like, what project are we doing? Can we bring it home? And like, obviously, we're like, no, we want stuff around the school. But like, so I think that is just so exciting. Like, it's there for them. It's a change of pace. They're kind of getting up. They're moving. Like, and it's Bart the Art Cart. I mean, what more exciting can you get? We got a disco ball and everything. It's pretty exciting.
He's pretty legit. He's pretty legit. They said we should put a mask on him because we put like a little face on him with googly eyes and pink eyelashes, and they were like, I think he needs a mask, so we're gonna have to figure that out for sure. I do see a question here in the chat, and now Laura, I know we didn't talk too much about what our situation looks like, student teaching specifically, but while I address the chat question, can you just give everybody sort of a rundown about what kind of like model we are right now? Virtual, hybrid, in-person, art on a cart, and just tell everybody sort of like how we're cruising along. And then I do see a question here about an individual that's talking to pre-service teachers tomorrow about Flipgrid. Now, I'm not super familiar personally with Flipgrid, but I know a lot of people that absolutely love it. So I won't be able to speak to that too much, but I do think that there are so many great virtual tools. I will see if there's anything from the Art of Ed about Flipgrid that can help you out a little bit too. But that's specifically going to be really awesome for a virtual learning situation. So Laura, why don't you tell us kind of what our teaching model looks like?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, we are partially on a cart. So today was our first day. So we have, so like I had mentioned, we're pre-K through fifth. So third through fifth graders are back today. So I got to have some new classes, which is kind of funny because we're like more than a month in at this point.
Right.
So that was exciting. So, but some kids have the option of staying virtual, which is nice. And I mean, good. So the little kiddos have been here, some are virtual. So like, you've been doing virtual classes, which is super cute and fun to see. And if anyone doesn't already know, you have a YouTube, so there's a lot of videos out there that are good. So you're doing new things and stuff, but that's always fun. So honestly, it's a mix. We are going into the classrooms. Oh, Fuzz, hi.
Okay, Fuzz. Hi.
Fuzz Aldrin.
Are you done now, buddy? Okay. So sorry.
But now Fuzz distracted me.
I know. So you're saying that we were doing virtual lessons, but we're also going into the classroom now for our upper kids.
Yeah, which as a student teacher, I think is really interesting because we're seeing different classroom managements. We're trying to adapt. Like I'm seeing the different classroom styles and like, oh, we went into one today and it was so fabulous. Oh, it was like rainbow decorated. Beautiful. But it's also challenging in a way because we are trying to like respect the teacher space and use their classroom management, but the kids are used to yours. So like, that's pretty good for the most part. But I mean, it is definitely an adventure. You definitely have to prepare and prep stuff. So we got like tables spread out with like, we're going to need Sharpies. We're going to need glue. So
yep. Yeah,
that's fun.
It's an adventure for sure. But I mean, selfishly as your cooperating teacher, I'm really excited that you get at least to get to see kids in person, because I think that virtual learning component can be kind of tricky to like take on, you know, to really connect with students, which I know a lot of new teachers and veteran teachers are struggling with that connection point with our students. So I think that at least getting that experience inside the classroom, even if it's inside the teacher's classrooms, is really nice because the kids are just so psyched to be back. Like literally a kiddo on the way out was like, it was the best day ever. I'm so glad to be back at school. And I was like, that's pretty amazing that's what we're hearing, right?
Yeah, they are so excited. It is the cutest.
So excited. So I guess since we don't know much about Flipgrid specifically, can you maybe give the people some of the techniques that we are doing, whether we're on the cart or YouTube, or I know you were kind of chatting with me earlier about some of the call and responses that we do. Can you kind of give them a little bit of the information about what techniques are working specifically for in person, or some of the things we like to do for our kiddos regarding technology?
So we've been kind of focusing on SEL, which is social emotional learning, as you know, but I think it's really important now, as important now as ever, but I think it's always important to having your kids. I mean, art is such an outlet for kids and a way to express themselves, and it's so exciting during the day. Like, they're decorating their sketchbooks. Like, what do they decide to put in there? What do they decide to put on it? Because they know it's going to be there for the rest of the year. So that's so exciting to see what's important to them. And I think I personally, if I was a student, would struggle if I didn't have some sort of outlet to be doing right now. So just the kids that are virtual, a lot of them, it happens that you're during a time that they don't necessarily need to come on, and so many kids are coming on, and it's so exciting because they're so excited to see you and, look, Miss K, I did this and I did that. So that's super exciting and encouraging. So the call and response, which I super love, I think that's honestly the best part about student teaching, because I could go into a classroom, but I don't know those little techniques that are going to get the kids' attention and stuff. Yeah. So you do classity class, and they say yesity yes. Say class.
Yes. Yep, that whole brain teaching
cool
for sure.
Beans, cool beans. So it's a lot of, I think, you're going to have all the kids that aren't necessarily going to volunteer. They're also saying it, and you just get a gauge of who's paying attention, who's not paying attention. That's super exciting. And then the mantra we do before class, and even the little kids, the kindergartners, have it all down with the motions, and that's they get so excited, and they're so confident about it. They're like, oh, I know this. And it's cute to see them, because they'll be like, I know what I am positive means. And I don't know, it's just the most wholesome thing. So
it's pretty great. And I think too, that's why I know we had a big conversation about what kind of lessons we're going to be doing and what kind of things we want to really focus on, and that social emotional learning, teaching our kids about, and keeping those routines about how can we feel positive, and what kind of tricks and techniques can we make ourselves really feel strong if we're struggling. And the kids, from what I can see, are really excited to be back. And there are a couple kiddos we just have to redirect or give them a couple little check-ins, and they're all really doing a great job. So I think it's exciting for you to view them in that situation, and to be able to hop on with us virtually and kind of see the whole thing. So it's a pretty great gig, you know what I mean?
As much as it's crazy, and I think student teaching during this time is definitely interesting, I think it will prepare me to be ready for any scenario that I am thrown in. So that is quite the positive that I will take from it.
Completely. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest things too, Laura, is I know we've talked, so many people have talked about being resilient and pushing through and trying to give ourselves grace over things that are tricky and things that are hard and difficult. And I think that is one of the main things that we can remember and learn from this, is maybe during your student teaching time, you won't necessarily remember we did this specific project. And I remember literally all 500 kids that we saw in person, but maybe you'll remember oh, here's how I can do something quickly, or problem solve something to be able to get to a solution really fast. And I think that's going to help you, and hopefully other student teachers, grow in a way that will make you awesome educators forever, So.
And I think even for veteran teachers, you said it, my professor of 35 years has said it. He's I feel like it's my first year teaching, but I think you're also getting new skills and new techniques, and you're realizing, wow, I can connect with students in this way. I can reach out to them in this way and being a safe space for them, that's awesome. Like, I mean, there's not much more as a teacher that's like rewarding than knowing that like that kid is super excited to see you and they are super excited to see you. So it's pretty
absolutely
great.
And I've always loved your positivity too, Laura, and I think that's something that hopefully every teacher can pick up on too, is that we know things are hard, we know it's weird, and it's not maybe exactly how we would design it, but just kind of reminding everyone, including like our new teachers and our student teachers or people who are maybe in school right now for art education. I mean, imagine being like, I mean, I know you're in college right now, but like being a freshman in college, like, okay, well, this looks way different than I had expected, but I still want to be a teacher, or I still really have this passion for art education. And I think that that is, okay, Fuzz, I think that that is, you know, a huge inspiration, is to say, well, it is hard, but we can be positive through this, and we can really find the things that can make it so awesome. So I think that's a great outlook, and I appreciate it. Okay, so I know you chatted a little bit about some of our call and responses and things like that too, but let's talk about specifically our new teachers. So let's say you saw someone at a conference, which I guess conferences aren't happening, but let's pretend that you saw someone at a conference and they're like, oh, I'm going to be student teaching next semester. What kind of advice would you give them, or what kinds of things do you think that they need to know about student teaching right now?
Honestly, it is, I think it's like everything. You're kind of questioning and you're waiting for the response. You're waiting. So Wisconsin, for example, where we are, they just got rid of the EdTPA, which I know is not like across all states, but some states might know. So like license wise, I don't really know how I'm getting licensed at the moment. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's cool. So like, for example, my professor, my advisor, is not going to be able to come in to watch me student teach or anything like that, to like observe me. So I think honestly, it gives us a little bit of a break too, because like people are just, I think so many people are understanding and knowing like, hey, I'm struggling, you're struggling, we're all struggling, we're going to make it work. So I think at the end of the day, I mean, go in with it with a positive attitude. Just like we were talking about, my favorite saying is PMA all the way, which means positive mental attitude. And that's kind of a mantra I've always lived by. Yeah, it's so cute.
Love it.
Because seeing the positive in the situations, like, yeah, it's not ideal what we're doing right now, but like, we're learning, we're experiencing. Like, I mean, I'm not mad about having Bart the art cart. Like, that's a pretty cool name. We're rocking cool. Disco ball. So I think having that point of view, like, student teaching is definitely interesting. I mean, for example, some of my friends who are student teaching, they couldn't even go into the schools that they had prepared, so they got thrown into random schools, like, and the majority of our friends, like, who are in Madison, which is like close to us, they're all virtual. So yeah, it is something else. But no, it's learning, it's compromising, it's you're molding to the situation, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And I think that's where that resilience mindset is going to kind of help with everything you're talking about. Is it's something that is sort of like it should be a theme for everyone, or we can kind of feel that and sense that anyways. But I think I'm just trying to envision myself 10 years ago just starting, and then having to do that on top, like feeling those feelings of like a very fresh educator, and then having to try to do that in a space that already feels different and weird. So I think you've really got you've got your head in the right place as far as like, give yourself that grace as always. Like, I mean, I've seen you teach, Laura. I would put you in a classroom right now, so you're good. But but I think you're right. I think it's a lot just giving yourself a place to understand and be okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And that's what our kids need to see too, is the fact that it's not going to be exactly how we want it to be, but we're keeping a positive attitude. We're going to try to teach them how to problem solve through those situations. If it's,
I love the problem solve thing. Like, if a kid has a question, you always say like, let's be inventors. Like, let's see how you can like create your own way through the situation. And it's so true. I think that's like all of 2020, to be honest. It's like, all right, invent your own path of what you're going to do and let's create it. Because
I love
gotta hop on in there.
You
So,
got it. Exactly. It's like,
so,
I didn't expect this, but man, it's going to surprise me what it looks like because it should be
yep.
good.
You be
I
that
love
problem solver.
it.
Yep.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Well, Laura, if there's any other special hints or tricks you have for us, that would be amazing. I'm just inspired by your positive attitude, and I hope that some other student teachers and other educators are too, because um, coming in with that fresh attitude and not letting it kind of like bog you down in a negative way is incredibly important. So I want to thank you for that.
I think for my student teacher fellow peers out there, like we had mentioned earlier, get into those conferences. Like pre-service alone, you get cheaper rates. So I mean, hey, you might as well go out there and do it.
Yeah.
My professor like takes us to them, and like he has a bunch of experience and knowledge. So getting in with those art teachers, like on Instagram, like I'm sure if you follow this, you probably follow other Instagram people. Like that's how I met you. That's how I reached out at a conference. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're Art Room Glitter Fairy. Like, wow. So it's like finding your way. I think the nice thing about the internet is you have those resources, you have those people, you have those experiences, like building those relationships, especially teacher relationships. Like, wow, I know that they're also going through this. How can we help
Yes.
problem solve together and do with it? Like, I know at the school that we're at, there's a bunch of new fifth grade teachers. So like today
Yeah.
was their first in-person day. Like, I think as much as student teaching is weird right now, being a teacher itself would be even more bizarre. So
Yeah. I like teacher as a phrase
yeah,
too.
teacher, yes.
Like a
teacher.
teacher.
Yes.
But I know what you're saying. And I think you're right too, building that community, finding finding people that can support you, whether it's other art educators, whether it's other, I mean, like, so many art educators are here ready to help and share and provide content and be a resource for people that are just starting or aren't just starting. So I think that's completely true.
And I think as much as we speak on the positive side, because you do, I think a positive outlook honestly is like what's gonna help. But like there are times that like you're just gonna have to cry in the bathtub and eat some chocolate. And I mean, it is what it is. Like, don't get me wrong, like, but you also can wear banana perler bead earrings and kids will be so excited. Are those bananas?
How many banana comments did we get today?
Oh,
I'm just
so
saying. Yes, exactly. And we all know. I had such a food conversation with one of my students today about how he loves food and Mrs. K, the food earrings. It was a whole thing. But we just being silly and being excited and being there for them is kind of what it's all about. So I'm glad that you get to be a part of that too, because I think that is what makes you want to teach, right?
Yeah. No,
it does.
It definitely
it's
does. Like that's the thing. I think I could either go into this with like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna do this, or like, hey, I'm gonna make the most of the situation. And like I've seen you teach in your other classrooms, so to see you kind of in both aspects and elements, it's awesome. So I mean, I'm lucky. I'm not gonna lie. I got two good cooperating teachers. So
yes, your next placement is gonna be really awesome too. So I'm really excited about that. I know it's gonna be real different, but it'll be good. That's the joy of student teaching too, is you really get to see a lot in a short amount of time instead of kind of the same consistent routine. So it should be pretty fun.
Sculptures, metal, and ceramic virtually should be quite the interesting experience. So
another reason to see that inventiveness come into play, because I have no idea what that would look like, but I know you're cooperating.
A lot of
teacher,
found object projects.
She's gonna have some good ideas. So it's kind of fun because sometimes those limitations make us be more inventive anyways. When we have constraints, it forces us to try to think of something that maybe we wouldn't need to do in other times.
Think of yourself in college and being poor. Like, what projects did you find?
Exactly. I love it. Well, Laura, thank you so much for chatting. We're going to save this chat too if anyone wants to share it with other student teachers or new teachers or old teachers who you think just need a little bit of positive motivation from Laura. We would love to have you share it. We'll be on the IGTV for the Art of Ed. And we'll also be on the YouTube channel there as well. So y'all can check it out there. Go give Laura a follow if you would like to. Laura, do you have a spot you want them to follow you at?
The Laura Boudreau _ whatever is tagged in the thing. As you can see, my blinds are making me little.
You're very You've got some dramatic lighting. I like it.
I know, I'm sorry about that, but that's okay.
No, don't apologize. I'm jealous.
But yes, I'm sure if they follow you, they can find me on there and stuff too. So.
Well, yes, I've tagged you in a couple
I don't have
things.
a cool Instagram handle like our room glitter fairy.
No, you're good. You're good. It's not a competition. You're amazing. Okay, all my sweet friends that are in the chat right now, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you all have an amazing Monday. And Miss Laura, I will see you tomorrow for another great day of art.
Nice and early. Bye, friends.
You got it. Bye.